All right, I'm going to talk about a lesson that I actually did on Tuesday. I thought it went really well. What the students are doing is we're introducing exponential equations and exponential graphs. And we're trying to teach them the difference between determining if a graph is linear or if a graph is exponential. And just trying to find the difference between what exponential is and what a linear graph is. So they're investigating different tables in different scenarios that require them to determine, is this situation linear or is this situation exponential? So every day in class, we actually teach using Google Slides, which is very different for me, but the Google Slides kind of sum up everything. So we're going to compare, these are the Google Slides right now that I showed the class throughout the lesson. So every day we start out with what are we doing? So we're comparing different patterns of growth. Then we go over the goals. So this actually is actually part of the lesson, is talking about what they're learning. So I can use words and expressions to describe patterns in a table of values. And when I have descriptions of linear and exponential relationships, I can write expressions and create tables of values to represent them. So we always start out with a warm-up. The warm-up allows students to kind of investigate. During the warm-up, students have nothing in front of them. It just allows them to kind of think and kind of introduce the topic. So in this warm-up, I show these 4 tables to the students, and they have to think, okay, which one of these tables do not belong? And they discuss this with their group. They're like, is it table A that doesn't belong? So then I call on each table, and one person from each table tells me, oh, I think this table doesn't belong. I think this table doesn't belong. But ultimately what students are seeing is that table A, B, and D are all linear, and table C actually represents an exponential table. They're going to notice that to get from 8 to 16, they have to add. So all of these numbers they're adding. Here they have to add, the numbers go to constant rate. Here, they're multiplying to get to the next number in the table of values, and here they're adding again. So that kind of introduces, that these tables are different, without actually teaching them what linear and what exponential is. So then, here is their task statement. This is what they're given. So the next part of the lesson is they're given this table and they're given this table. And they go to the whiteboards, and what I ask them to do is in their groups, they're going to draw both of these tables on the whiteboards, and they're going to compare them. So they're going to complete the tables, both of them, and then they're going to write about on the whiteboards, like how they compare. It's really cool because in my class we have 3 18-inch almost, they're about, I would say, like 4 feet long whiteboards around the room. So each group is assigned a different part of the whiteboard. So it's awesome because we can see everyone's tables around the class. When students draw the whiteboards on the board, they're going to notice that in this table, the numbers increase by 20. And in this table, they're going to notice they have to multiply by 2 to go on to determine the number of stores. So this is based on a real world situation. Kind of, they give you a scenario, and based on the scenario, they have to fill out the tables. But ultimately, they are going to see that this table here goes at a constant rate, where this one actually multiplies by 2, so a common factor. So they're learning this goes at a constant rate, and this one table goes at a constant factor. So I asked students to try the questions underneath, just because it was a shorter period. But basically, after they came up with the tables, most of these questions were answered, like in group discussion. Like, what do you notice about the difference? So students were able to share with the class. So we kind of filled out these as a class after they completed the tables on the whiteboard. So that was fun. The students enjoy it. They love to go to the board. They love to work in groups. And then it's kind of fun. The discussion feels easier to them because these are kind of like I said, introducing exponential equations. So because today, Tuesday is a very short period, after this lesson, after the warm-up, after going and investigating these tables, every day the students get an exit ticket. And I actually grade their exit ticket. So the exit ticket they had, I'm going to show it to you in 1 second, but it actually covered this goal. I can use words and expressions to describe patterns in table of values. So to receive an excelling score, so I actually took pictures of different students. So this was the first student's exit ticket, and she received an excelling. So actually, the rubric is always at the bottom of the exit ticket for every exit ticket we do. So I can circle how they responded to their exit ticket. So this student received an excelling because she demonstrated thorough understanding of what happened. So in this exit ticket, I wanted them to use the new vocabulary taught to them, which was factor and constant difference. So this student was able to, they're comparing these two tables and determining, okay, which one, how can I describe this table? What is happening in this table? So this student said, the difference changes every year, the factor stays the same. So the fact that this student was able to identify that to get from 2 to 6, they had to multiply by 3, and use the word factor to describe that table, which is the main word to describe an exponential table. It shows me that she understands what's going on here. Then in this one, you can see it's going up by 4 by adding 4. So this student was able to identify that you're adding 4, and she used the word constant rate, which is a new vocabulary taught to them. So for that reason, she was able to identify what happened there, and she received an excelling. Now the next student, this is a student who I gave approaching, because this student, here in this table, you can see that the numbers you multiply by 3 to go from 2 to 6, to go to 6 to 18. But this one, she says, this one is randomly adding cats every year. It's different each year. She was unable to identify that to get from 2 to 6, you multiply by 3. She just thought, oh, it's adding 4, adding 12, adding 36. So she couldn't really explain what was happening in this table, nor could she find that you're actually using multiplying by 3. Here, though, she was able to say that the graph is linear because it has a constant rate of 2 cats being added every year. She was able to identify that this is linear, but it is not at a constant rate of 2. So she used the word linear, and she was able to describe that it was constant rate and that they were adding to go up, but they were actually adding by 4. So she did show some understanding, so I gave her an approaching, which demonstrates some understanding. This student here received a beginning, which demonstrates little to no understanding. She says here they start out at the same rate for the first year, then Island has faster rate of 5. So I don't really, she says here they start at the same rate, which shows, yeah, the tables are similar, the first right here. But I don't know exactly what the rest means at all. I don't even know where she got this number 5. So that being said, I gave her a beginning. She attempted it, so I could not give her a little to no attempt shown. So that's actually how we grade all of our exit tickets. It was a short lesson, but like I said, they're investigating exponential functions. They've never really been taught this before in 8th grade, so it was kind of an introduction to what do those tables, what do those graphs look like.